So she would get 60% of her pay minus taxes.
Okay.
So it would not replicate her net pay. So we just piggybacked with an extra 20% on top through us to kind of help her, once again, maintain that standard of living if she couldn't work.
Okay.
Okay. Questions on that?
No, that makes sense.
Okay, great. The other half of that foundation is basically survivor needs, so talking about life insurance. And the first thing we took a look at is what would the needs be in the event of John's passing. So how do you think most people go about determining how much life insurance they need to get?
Wow. I guess it would be smart if you looked at your liabilities and made sure those were covered. I guess if you got to think about the income perhaps that would be lost from the other partner. I mean, gosh, there's a lot to think about. I don't know. How do you do it?
No, I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head. I mean,
Okay.
those are the two big things we look at, is immediate needs, and that's what we'll look at on this page, and then also future income needs.
Okay.
So the immediate needs is if John didn't come home tomorrow, what do Mary and the kids need to keep on going? First thing they would need is an emergency fund. Basically about 6 months of their salary backed up there, so she could take time off work to grieve. If there's a problem with a car or a house, she'd have liquid cash to fix that. Okay, and these are all customized, so this is what Mary told us she would want. Final expenses, about $10,000 for funeral services and the like. She'd want the college funding paid for, $62,000. Basically, she felt like with just her income, if John were to pass, she wouldn't be able to keep contributing to their college accounts. So later on I'll show you, but we have computers hooked up to the schools and basically calculated that this lump sum would grow to be the amount they needed to pay for school when they become of age.
Okay.
$195 to pay off the mortgage and $42 for the other debt so she could be debt free. So basically $289,000 in immediate needs.
Wow.
Does that seem like a lot to you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Survivor needs, so this would be income moving forward. Basically, Mary felt like her and the children could maintain their standard of living if they had $3,500 a month to live on.
Okay.
Now, $3,500 a month is total. She obviously is earning $30,000 a year, so she's making a good portion of that herself. So we really only need to replace about $1,000 a month.
Okay.
She wanted that until the kids were 25. So basically, when we add those immediate cash needs with that $1,000 a month till the kids are 25, we come up with a total figure we need on John's life of $423,571.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It's worth a lot.
Yeah. Once again, he's probably got $1.5 million of earning potential. So this is not going to make anybody wealthy. We're just trying to maintain that family standard of living.
Oh, okay.
That make sense? Any questions, concerns on that?
No, not right now. That seems to make sense, and I'm sure you'll go into more depth when you fine-tune one of these things for me, right?
Absolutely, yeah. These are completely customized to each family and their unique situation. Really just trying to show you the basics of kind of what we do, how we work with people.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That works.
So, same thing for Mary. I won't beat this to death, but I'll just show you real quick. They had the same immediate cash needs because obviously they have the same debts and things, right?
Yeah, sure.
But if Mary were to pass, John said he could live on a little less income, about $3,700 a month, of which he's making $40,000. So there's really a much smaller income need to make up for there. So we would only need $363,000 of insurance on Mary's life.
Okay.
Do you have any idea how many different types of life insurance are out there?
I don't know. I'm cheating. I'm looking at your page and I see 7, I think. So 6 or 7.
Yeah. These are kind of some main types. Most people have heard of like term, whole life, and there's a bunch of subtypes underneath these. So, moral of the story is, how do you know which type or types combination of policies is going to be appropriate for your family situation? And that's really something that we do, is explain those all to you at a later time and really talk about what's going to be the best fit. And oftentimes it's a combination because you're trying to accomplish different things. So sometimes you need several policies to do that. But that's something we'll discuss later. Moving on up that financial house, we're going to jump up to talking about retirement needs. And what we go over here is what we call retirement analysis detail. What we do, we sit down with John and Mary and ask them a couple questions about their retirement that maybe folks haven't asked them before. The first one's pretty obvious. What age would you like to retire? So they said 65. So that's 30 years we have to work with. That's a good thing. What percentage of your current household income would you like to live on during your retirement years? And they said 70%. Basically thinking, hey, we could take a 30% pay cut, the house will be paid off, kids will be gone, we can live on that.
Okay. Yeah.
70% of their pay in today's dollars is $49,000. However, with 30 years of inflation to deal with, that future value is going to be $142,000.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yikes. Okay. Yeah.
And we also going to need to figure out what they need from 65 retirement until we need an ending point. So we're going to assume they die at 90.
Okay.
So their magic number is $2.59 million. That's what they need to live on from 65 to 90 without working.
Okay.
A lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And that's, once again, only to live 70% of their lifestyle now. So I think a lot of people don't realize how much it's going to take. But do you know a lot of folks that have sat down and actually figure out what the retirement number is?
No, I don't, honestly.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a big slap in the face.
Yeah, a lot of folks haven't, and I think we all know that if you don't know what your goal is, good luck trying to hit it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, hey, I put in my 401k, I do what I can. Those are great activities, but that's not a plan. And if you're going to retire the way you want, you need a plan, not just good activity.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. How are we going to generate $2.59 million? That's the question. The first one is going to be Social Security. We can include or exclude this. John and Mary, being eternal optimists, said let's include it. So basically it's going to start paying them at 65. And once again, we're assuming they live till 90. So for 25 years, Social Security will pay them a total of $490,000. Okay. Subtract that from our total, we're left at $2.1 million. We have some available capital in the form of retirement accounts. If you remember, John had a 401k with 52 grand, 500 monthly going in between he and his employer.
Yeah.
6% rate of return. Not the best rate of return on the planet, but like a lot of folks, John doesn't really know how to pick his mutual funds, what it all means. He's looking international, small, mid-cap. I don't know. I'm kind of aggressive. Take care of me, HR. That's what a lot of people do. So that's going to grow to $874,000 by the time he retires. In Mary's IRA that we talked about, it's just in a fixed account, getting 3%. It's going to grow to 58, so combined, just under $1 million. But once again, when we subtract that from our figure, we're left with a shortfall of $1.1 million. That's a problem. What does that look like? Very simple graph here. This is years of retirement on the bottom. This blue line that goes for the whole time is Social Security. That's the steady Eddie. This yellow is them withdrawing from their savings and retirement accounts. And I probably don't need to tell you what that red is, right?
Yeah, red on a graph's never good.
Never good. Your funds will be depleted by John's age 74. So basically they can retire at 65 for 9 years in the manner they want. And at 74 they're going to be in trouble. So what can they do? It's basically 4 different ways they could remedy that situation, or at least deal with it. I'll kind of skip to this page first and then come back to the one prior. They can save more, they can earn more, which I'll talk about, spend less, or retire later. Spending less, this option would basically say they reduce what they want to live on by 46%. So basically, whatever they said they could live on 70% of their pay, we basically cut that in half. See if they wanted to do that. Most people don't want to do that, but that's what they would need to do in order to not have that red in the graph. They could retire later. If they didn't want to spend less, they could just retire at 77 instead of 65, and their funds would last them when we get rid of the red on the graph.
Okay.
Neither of those are very attractive options, I think, to most people. I'll bring your attention back to this page. You can save more or earn more. Save more. They're currently getting a blended rate of return of 5.64 on their money. If they wanted to keep getting, or if they did keep getting that return, they'd have to save an additional $1,160 per month every month for the next 30 years in order to make up that deficit. I think most people can do that.
Not the ones I know.
No, not a whole lot of folks. So, power of compound interest, pretty big deal. If we can educate them on some basic financial principles, show them how to make their money work harder for them, some stuff they don't teach you in school but probably should. And they can get 8.8% return on their money. They would have to save an extra $0 per month. And they would make up that $1.1 million deficit just on compound interest over 30 years.
Well, $0, that's doable.
Yeah, most people have an extra $0.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So, compound interest is a big deal, and that's why we try to talk to folks when they're younger, so we can make this easier going forward. But you got to take action early if you want to make it easier later.
Yeah, for certain. That makes a lot of sense.
The last thing I'll show you is college funding. So I know you got some little ones, and probably that's crossed your mind. School's not cheap, right?
That's for sure.
Yeah. So once again, this is optional what we can include for you, but for John and Mary, they did want to run an analysis for Alex and Stephanie. Our computers are hooked up to all the colleges in the U.S., so we know what the tuition is today. Once again, we're going to kind of inflate it for the future. Here's what we think it's going to cost in 15 years when they actually go to school. So we ask them, what age you think they'll be in college? Are they going to go for 4 years, or many years? Here's the current cost, the future cost with inflation, and then we'll actually type in the names of the schools, and our database will pull all that info up.
Okay.
We can get pretty specific. We can do just room and board, in-state, out-of-state, or we can do tuition, books, kind of whatever you want to pay for. So that's really it. So in order to prepare one of these for you guys, I just need to gather some information from you.
Okay.